Welcome to our Monday video, just you and me here on Mondays. I'm Thomas Frank Carr, film analyst and host here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. Mondays, I do both of those things. I give you a peek behind the curtain, some of the things that I do for BlueWhiteIllustrated.com as a film analyst, and this offseason trying to incorporate more of that coach's film, give you a better sense of football. Hopefully we learn some things together. And this week it's Combine Week. One of my favorite times on the calendar is draft season, just in general. I love it. Maybe less so now that my team doesn't always have a top 15 draft pick in the NFL, but we've got a ton of players to talk about from the Penn State perspective. A lot of guys going to the draft this year, and a lot of guys going to be at the Combine. One who is a lock to be a first-round draft pick at this point. I didn't know it was going to work out this way exactly for Vega Ioane, because I didn't know the strength of this particular draft. Sometimes guys that are worth first-round draft pick don't go in the first round, and they're really good football players sometimes go in the second. But this year, the stars are aligning for Vega to be a first-round draft pick. And before he blows up at the Combine, I just wanted to go through some of the film that I saw from him. We're going to be looking at his performance versus UCLA in 2025. One, because I think it's an indicative of some of his most dominant blocks in the run game, and also it's what I had lying around. So we're going to be looking at specifically UCLA. I'm going to say this in the video clips I'm going to show you in a minute, but just want to be upfront about this. Like, UCLA doesn't have a great pass rush, but the reason that Vega Ioane is a first-round draft pick is because, despite what you might think about him as a run game phenom, the guy that Andy Nittany put in motion from the slot, his best asset is his pass blocking. He has been an ultra-consistent pass blocker for 3 years and was a dominant pass blocker this past year. So, size, athleticism, all those things, all rolled into one player, and I have a take, and I hate using the word take, opinion. I have informed opinion coming up later about Vega Ioane that I think is fair, and also maybe not even all that controversial, but we'll see. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the fun stuff, though. As much as I just said his pass pro is the best thing he does, let's get into the fun stuff, the run game, because one of the reasons I'm working with UCLA is I think it has his best block of the year, and it's best experience from the coach's film from the end zone angle. This is one of my favorite clips from Penn State football last year with Vega Ioane, and why I think one of the reasons why that he's going to be a top pick in the NFL draft is because we finally got to see some of this from him during his final season at Penn State. This was not always a thing he did, but also the time and the situation of this matters to me. So this play right here from Vega Ioane, this is the first offensive play for Penn State football after they lost to Oregon in the whiteout. And it's a double team, but Vega Ioane is doing a lot of work here. He throws this dude, this nose tackle, from the A gap to the opposite B gap, all the way across the line of scrimmage on this duo run, and opens up a massive hole for the offense to run through in this gap scheme. Yes, it's a double team here with Drew Shelton, who I also think, by the way, is going to be a good NFL lineman. He gets with the second level, so there's a chip here, a little bit of a balance thing, but just look at the way he's already got his shoulders turned into this guy and throws the defensive tackle out of the club on this particular play. That's the level of anger and frustration that I think he felt and showed off on this particular play here to start this drive that Penn State fans wanted. They wanted UCLA to be punished for this, and he brought it in this particular game. But one of the things that we saw from him this year is that he actually lost a lot of weight and became more explosive at the line of scrimmage. He dropped about 15, 20 pounds this offseason and really became a 325-pound all-around devastator on the offensive line. Strong run blocker who's able to open up the point of attack on this duo run, where you get the single here, and you get the kick-out block here. And then Nick Singleton, all he has to do is run straight ahead, because here's the nose tackle, and then here's this giant gap that's going to be created because you created so much space with one block. So we're looking at some more gap concepts. We have a GT counter coming from the backside, and it's all set up. This touchdown is all set up by the double team at the point of attack. Two linemen here in the NFL draft, Vega Ioane and Drew Shelton. We're looking at Ioane today, but keep your eyes out for Drew Shelton. This is an awesome block here from this duo. We're going to break this down. There's just enough room. There is just enough room if you watch this play where TJ Shanahan, he kicks out this defensive end who sets a hard edge, kind of wins a stalemate here, and then you got Nolan Ritchie coming in to get the linebacker at the point of attack. There is just enough room for Katron Allen to squeeze through this hole, bounce outside, and get a touchdown. The reason there's just enough room is because Ioane and Drew Shelton absolutely crush this double team here. You're going to see Vega Ioane here with his shoulders and his hips completely turned. He's now created the wall perpendicular to the line of scrimmage where he's got that defensive tackle inside. Even if the movement is not dramatic from a spatial stance, the fact that he has created this area and Shelton is able to then get over to the second level is really impressive. And the fact they're able, by the way, to push this defensive tackle out of this gap into the A gap. So they win this gap and they win the spatial battle up to the second level. You only get this play because of that double team at the line of scrimmage from two of Penn State's best offensive linemen. Ioane showing the power and the versatility to be a gap blocker in a power scheme or in a counter scheme, and his versatility overall as an offensive lineman. So that's one area I want to kind of circle back to this, where in the offseason we saw a dramatic transformation in Vega Ioane in the weight room. He's a guy that was always big. He came to Penn State about 340 pounds. At his biggest, these numbers are always kind of thrown out there. James Franklin talked about him as a 350, sometimes a 360-pound offensive lineman. But it was clear, you don't get the explosive movement skills from a guy that size, unless it's, an absolute freak show, like bending the laws of physics, where you have that extra size. You don't always need all of that extra poundage because Vega Ioane is a naturally strong player. And talking to Chuck Losey, the offense or the strength coach this past offseason, who's now moved on, the goal was to make him an All-American guard, and that's what they did. They leaned him out, and if you're that big and you're 323 pounds by the end of it, now you've got a lot of different tools. And to me, that's where what you just saw is more of what he was able to do, because he was able to be more violent at the point of attack because he was moving less mass more quickly. And it really showed up in his run blocking this year, where he was dominant as a gap blocker, where before, there were more stalemates than you'd expect for a guy of his size. Not that he was ever bad, but this was really the year where he was a dominant run blocker. That's the biggest change. If you're liking the breakdowns we're doing here on Monday, please like the video, hype it up, hug it, give it a high five, whatever it is that the algorithm needs you to do. But the number one thing is just to watch. And of course, if you can support our sponsors here, I'm wearing my rowback thing I always wear on Mondays, the pullover. You can go into our description of this video, and you can use the promo code to get 20% off. I believe it's PSU20 to get 20% off of the Rowback Game Day collection, which is out right now. Been out since last fall. Super popular. People love it. Go check it out. We'll be back with the other versatile parts of Vega Ioane's game in just a second.
Have you heard of Wave Fruit Farm? It's this great farm market bakery and cafe. You can shop with them either at their farm in Port Matilda or downtown State College.
No way.
Yes, Wave Fruit Farm. They have all sorts of seasonal fruits and veggies.
Way cool.
No, Wave Fruit Farm. But anyway, you should visit their bakery and cafe. They serve amazing food all day.
Way.
Fruit Farm!
Let's talk now about zone blocking, because if you're going to be a priority in the NFL draft, you need to be able to do more than just one thing. Also, you need to be a great football player. That's not even true. Sometimes you don't need to be a great football player. You need to just have freakish athletic skills. But for everybody else, you need to be a great football player with no holes, and everyone needs to want you. And that's the thing about Vega Ioane, is when it comes to the run blocking, there is no team. There's really no team anymore that does just one thing, right? There's no pure zone systems. There's no pure gap systems. Everyone does a little bit of everything. Shanahan and McVay, both these guys that have come from the Shanahan coaching tree, have adapted and evolved over time. And even though their systems are very popular in the NFL, and there are a lot of zone systems out there, the best of them are now trying to blur the line between man and gap and give you a bunch of different looks. And Vega Ioane can do that. So again, we talked about how he's a big mauling guard. Here he is being super athletic in a zone system as well. So big, powerful offensive lineman, probably going to be a gap scheme guy, right? Well, this is the thing about Ioane that we've seen since his high school film, is that he's incredibly quick and he's got fluid hips, so he can be in an outside zone system. You see him here, number 71. He's going to get all the way out here and reach the defensive end on this outside zone. Now, the tight end misses the kick out block, but this is textbook, being able to seal this off, get your hips flipped in the hole, create that alley. Now there's a guy in the point of attack, so that's no good. But he does his job on this particular play, walling that off and pushing it upfield as well. That's the beauty of Vega Ioane's game, is that, and one of the reasons he's a first-round pick is he's physically all there, and he has the ability to play in multiple schemes. And a lot of teams in the NFL, they want to run zone. Like a lot of these Shanahan tree teams, they want to run zone, but they also, in order to not become predictable, do need to run some counter, some gaps, some things like that to mix it up. And there's teams like the Sean McVay's Rams that have gone more into gap scheme. He can do both of it. He can do all of it. So this is a guy who's going to fit into every run blocking scheme and can do multiple things on the field. For a guy who's 325 pounds, incredibly quick. Now on this play, you can see much easier because the running lane is there. Not as hard of a reach block, but again, great technique. Gets his helmet on the other side of the defensive lineman. He's won the gap. Now he's going to turn it upfield and create an obvious running lane for the running back to get out into space. It's plays like this where you see his ability to throw guys out of the club, and also the ability to get around defensive tackles, defensive ends, and create running lanes for the offense on the interior that makes him such a versatile piece and such a valuable part of the any offensive line in the NFL. So I didn't realize I had said that in that clip. So double dipping on the point about versatility of run schemes, and this is why, to come back to what I said to start the video, Vega Ioane is the best overall offensive lineman that Penn State has produced in the last 10 years. He is adaptable to any scheme. He can run and pass block just as well. So Olu Fashanu probably is going to be the higher draft pick. I don't think Vega Ioane is going in the top 10. Guard versus tackle, left tackle, elite pass blocker. I'm not saying that Vega is as good of a pass blocker as Olu. And as an athlete, Olu was, kind of ridiculous. But Olu also was not as dominant in the run game. There were flashes of it, but not as consistent. He never got to that point of being nearly as consistent or dominant in the run game as Vega, and it was not really a calling card of his. Now, when it comes to his ability to do the thing that is most valuable in the NFL, like he's a great starting tackle for the Jets. But for whoever drafts Vega Ioane, he's going to be the best overall player entering the NFL as a final finished product from Penn State. And let's get to big dude pass blocking. This is one of my favorite clips from Penn State football last year with Vega Ioane, and why little things here from Vega Ioane, which, by the way, like UCLA's interior pass rush especially, but their pass rush in general was not great last year. So I just wanted to point this play out because I think he does a great job of illustrating where running lanes come from. So for Penn State fans, when I say that Keanu Williams is not a great pass rusher, this is Keanu Williams. He's trying to get over into the A gap here, and Vega Ioane just takes his momentum and shoves him all the way through, again, using power in pass protection to open up a running lane for Drew Aller, make this super easy for the quarterback to say, okay, now you've got a place to not only do you have a place to step up, but nobody's open, so take off and run. And he has such an easy decision to make because Vega Ioane escorts the defensive tackle, the 3 technique over here, out of the play and gives a wide berth for the quarterback. So while it's not up against a demon pass rusher, this is the example of doing more than just blocking, just getting in the way of the guy, creating space for your quarterback to step up and to get some yards in a situation where Penn State is down. They need to get some explosive plays. And Aller's the guy who runs the ball, right? So he gets credit for the pump fake here, all that stuff. But the running lane, the easy decision here is because Vega Ioane does such a great job of vacating the B gap and giving him such a big running lane. One of my favorite things to do over the last couple of years, even back as a prospect, is watch Vega Ioane pass protect. Again, what takes him from like a really good interior prospect to a first-round draft pick is he's unbelievably good for his size as a pass protector. He's quick, he's agile, and he's very disciplined. Again, not a great pass rushing team, but the ability to keep his hands inside. You see where he starts on this play with his hand position. His elbows are in tight. His hands are ready to strike. something Phil Trautwein was big on. And then you see he doesn't immediately hit inside. He controls that outside hand, pushes the arm up, and then resets inside onto the chest plate. I'm not an expert on offensive lineman pass protection techniques or any of those things, but, I know enough to get by. I love that you see his anchor here as well as a guy trying to bull rush, and when he does, just doesn't get anywhere. Nice, clean pocket for Drew Aller. You can see, especially on this left side, plenty of room to step up, not a lot of pressure anywhere, even from the spatial collapse of the pocket. One of those reasons is because Vega Ioane was able to keep such a clean pocket, strong anchor, and then when we get farther into the rep, he's able to ride this defensive lineman, again, taking his momentum inside to open up a running lane for Drew Aller. And by the way, this is a big part of Penn State's passing attack in the first 4 games of the season, which is, hey, nobody's open, so Drew, make something happen. And the reason he can make something happen, step up and scramble, is because especially the left side of the line and Vega Ioane gave him such good running lanes by being clamped on and locked in on their pass protection responsibilities. I should have mentioned at the beginning of this video, this was first an article at bluewhiteillustrated.com, and there's a lot more details, a lot of numbers. Like, you don't want to hear me use 11.6 yards per cubic meter of grass or whatever Vega Ioane chewed up this year. But the numbers in terms of running behind him in the run game, and a bunch of other stuff at bluewhiteillustrated.com. Link is in the description of this video if you want to go check that out, because the numbers are pretty astounding when you look at where they ran and their ability to get yards behind the left side of the line specifically. And Vega Ioane are pretty clear that where Penn State needed, when they needed to run the ball, they were very left-handed last year. So check that out. Like I said, like the video and go to bluewhiteillustrated.com. I'll put it up here as the outro of the video for you to subscribe. You get $1 for a week to try us out, and then you can decide if you want to join us full-time after that. But we'll have more coverage of the NFL draft. Also coming up this week, we're going to have some more interviews and some access with Penn State football players. So bluewhiteillustrated.com this week is your place to go there. That's going to leave us in a little bit of limbo for the Wednesday show. I'm still going to do a show. It might just be me. Greg's got to make sure he's traveling up here for all of that stuff. But we'll be back for sure on Tuesday with the BWI live show at 10 a.m. We'll be here Wednesday and Thursday as well. And the final week of February, and then we're into spring. And you know what that means? Like, spring football. It's just around the corner. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, all those things here from the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. And we'll be back again with you tomorrow. Talk to you then.